mistake, and therefore the solution didn't work. Now also this updated and corrected version is in Moodle. Replying to, no, it doesn't, to Anu. So yes, the material will be anyway in Moodle. So if you have a presentation elsewhere, then that's okay. So yeah, a company is producing threads, 3 different threads. During a specific period, the company has these 3 threads for same raw material. The thickness of the thread is different, so they have a different spinning time per kilogram, and therefore the different production volume per hour. Thread number 1, 2, 3. Here's the production, how much they're producing it within 1 hour, and then the total production volume during the 1 period, let's say November. This is in kilos. Some cost information, and then the task was to calculate the minimum price, minimum production value, and production value for these 3 threads. Here's the same info on the production of kilos directly from here. Production of hours, could have also had it so that we have the figures from here, so then you know exactly where the figures are coming from. So knowing how many hours it does take to make that kind of that amount of products, then we have here now the production hours. So all in all, there's 9,000 kilos produced, and altogether 30,000 hours used for production. Raw material. We had here the used raw material, 58,500, and we had here, I actually do it this way so it's easier to know where the figures are coming from. So on average, it makes the 6.5 euros per kilo. Production costs. So we had the costs here, and then we just are calculating those per hour. So we had exactly the same figures as here. Then we now know the euro amount, the production hours. As we know the euros and we want the kind of euro per hour, then the easiest way is the euros are divided by the hours. So divided by the 30,000 hours. Same thing for all of the different cost items. So far, kind of straightforward. Production cost. We knew all the costs together, and then we knew the production, total hours for the production. Then we move on to what are those per different threads. We knew that the euro per kilo for each of them, as they are using the same raw materials, is 6.5, the one that was calculated here. Spinning salaries. Now we have the salary kind of price tag for the salary per hour, and then now using for each of the threads their production time, and this is now naturally varying per product. So all the time the spinning salaries divided by the time needed. And that's how we get those euros. Then variable, so taking this 9,000 here, well, the 9,000 per the hours, so the 30 cents, and then divided by the time needed for that thread. And same thing for all the other threads as well. Counting those all together, we get the minimum production value. So remember, in the minimum production value, it's only those very minimum costs, so the direct costs that are clearly and directly linked to the product, meaning raw material, salaries. And then in the calculating the production value, then we also add the fixed cost there as well. Same thing here, fixed cost price tag. I'm kind of naming these now price tag, and we have the euro per hour divided by each of the threads. And same thing for the other thread. And for the third one as well. And then calculating the production value, the minimum production value plus the amount from the fixed cost, and then we get the production value. That's it for the number 4. In the number 5, we had a food service limited, has 4 cost centers, and here was the cost per the first quarter. We had the material inventory, we had the production A, B, and then we had marketing and admin. Each of them has indirect cost. Material inventory also has material usage, and then the production A and B has also production salaries. Question was that define addition by using addition, calculating the additions per department, and find out production value and cost value for product R. Product R's material is 2,000, and production salaries in production A is 600 and production B 400. Let's start with the A. So define the additions. We have here the indirect costs directly from here. We have the material usage and the production salaries. The addition here is that we are dividing the indirect costs by the material usage. Same thing here. So we are dividing the indirect cost by the with the production salaries. Same thing in the production B. And then in the marketing and admin, we are dividing the marketing and admin divided by all of the cost given. In the B, we are calculating the production value and cost value. We have the material usage from above. From here. For the product R, the material usage was 2,000, and production salaries were from A 600 and production B was 400. Now when we know the general addition for the material inventory, we are able to calculate that there. Then we already have the 600 given. General addition from the production A cost centers, we already calculated that percentage, so that one is then added there. And then production B, the 400 given here, and then calculating the addition from the production B. Calculating these all together, is giving us the production value. And then adding also the marketing and admin. Marketing and admin on top of the production value will give us the cost value. Probably you didn't even remember anymore how you were doing this, but anyway, this updated file is in Moodle if you want to look at it all the time. Now let's go to number 5, which might be you remember it more than the number 3. So here we had 5 small exercises. In the first one, there was a company with 3 different cost centers called manufacturing, finalizing, and admin. Rents and premise cost for all of these together was 92,000. It was also said that the costs are allocated to these 3 cost centers according to square meters. Then the question is that how much rent and premises cost are allocated to finalizing cost center when the square meters are given here. So then we need to first calculate what is the share of the square meters of finalizing cost center. So 120 square meters from the total square meters. So the percentage is 37.5. Then we calculate that 37.5% from the total cost, and then we get that the finalizing cost center's share of those costs is 34,500. This was already probably a bit more simple than the previous exercises, so I wanted to kind of start with the easier and more simple. If you're able to solve this one, that's a good start for the next ones. Not start with the hardest one. Then we move on to a different industry. We move on to a bank where there's a customer service, and they have calculated or defined that they have 4 activities, which are bank transfer, customer service at the desk, not even visible the desk. Then they have currency exchange, and then they are advising. They have also calculated the unit prices for each of these different activities, different services they have. And then there's a case of a customer A. During 1 year, the customer A is using the 20 times bank transfers, twice the customer service at the desk, and once using the currency exchange service. And the question is, what is the cost for serving this customer during that year? So 20 times the bank transfer unit price, which I sometimes call price tag. So 20 cents, twice the customer service at the desk, and then 1 time the currency exchange. Advising wasn't used in the formula at all because the customer A wasn't using any advices during the year. And therefore the answer is 64 euros. Then let's move on to number 3, already a bit more complex than the 1 and 2. There's a company where there's one department's task, could be, for example, customer service. The task is to receive orders from customers, ship the ordered products, and take care of the invoicing. The indirect costs for this department are mainly employee costs, and those are 15,000 euros per month. Then we also have information that they will receive each month 600 order confirmations, 500 shipments and 200 invoices. In the department, there are 2 people taking care of the gathering of the products and shipping them, and 1 person is taking care of receiving the orders and invoicing. From this person's, he or she, working time, 40% goes to receiving the orders and 60% to invoicing. Then one of the products is called product X, and that is sold in batches of 9 pieces. And now put the 9 and those figures now here, so we are able to use them in the form. And in average, there are 15 batches per month, meaning that there's 15 orders and shipments for this product each month. On average, there are 6 invoices sent monthly to customers which are buying the product X. And the task was to define unit cost for product X in this department using activity-based costing. First one is to have a bit more info, calculate that one. So we knew the what was I saying? I forgot the word. Calculate how much of the time is used for each of these activities. So we have, actually costs. So we have 15,000 euros of employee salaries, and that's for 3 people. And then we know that only 1 was doing the order confirmations, and that person was doing 40% of the time. Therefore, we are able to calculate that the 15,000, which was for 3 people, divided by 3 times 40%. So we know what is the kind of share of the cost caused by the order confirmations. So that is 2,000. 2,000 out of the 15,000. Then we know that there were people taking care of the gathering the products and shipping them. So the 15,000 divided by 3, so we get 1 person's cost, times 2, because there was 2 people doing that one. Sending invoices, 15,000 euros divided by 3. Naturally, in this case, we assume that all of them have same salaries and the kind of same cost, times the 60%, because it was said here that there was 60% of the time going to invoicing. Igor has a question.
Why we divide it on 3 every time?
Because there's 3 people working in the department. 2 was taking care of the products and shipping, and 1 was taking care of the orders and invoicing. So altogether 3 people.
Okay.
Kind of one of the challenges in this exercise that it wasn't clearly said that, hey, there's 3 people working in the department.
Yeah, I understand that the 3 person working here, but I don't know why we divide it on 3.
In order to understand, for example, what is the cost for example, receiving the orders or invoicing, because we have these 3 activities in the department, and in order to calculate what is the price of, for example, invoices sent, the only way is to calculate it. So because we only know that it's 60% of 1 person's work time. We don't know how much that is from the total working time of the department, and therefore we need to first calculate the kind of the cost per 1 person.
I'm just go another way and multiply shipments on 2, so I got 1,000, and order confirmation I multiply with 0.4, and invoice 0.6. So I don't divide 15K on 3.
And then you are calculating those with the 15,000.
Yeah, but I got now numbers. So I think a mistake.
Because the idea is to get, yes, there are multiple ways to get what is the kind of cost per, just for example, sending the invoices. So how do you get the cost per each of these activities? That's the kind of first step here. And yes, there is not only one way. But yeah, here is one way of calculating what is the kind of price per activity. And naturally, these together are the 15,000. When we calculate those per time or per order confirmation or per shipment or per invoice, the cost divided by the amount, and then we get those kind of unit prices or price tags, like I sometimes call. Then we have the product X. So here's kind of the total for the department, and then we need to calculate for the surgeon specific product. So the product X is sold in batches of 9 pieces, 15 batches per month, and there are 6 invoices sent on a monthly basis to customers. So first one, order confirmation, 15. So it was said here that both orders and shipments for this product are 15 times per month. So 15 times the order confirmations unit price, giving us 50 euros. Same thing with the shipments. So 15 times the shipments unit price, giving us 300. Invoices sent, 6 invoices, and then the unit price for the invoice. Those 3 all together for 40. So this is the product X total costs. And then we also calculated that how many products are there. If there's 9 products in each batch, 15 batches, then how much are there altogether products, and knowing the total cost, and the total cost divided by the product amount. So then we get that it's 3.26 euros for each of the product X. Each of the product X, that's the unit price then. All clear, or is there something that you would want us to go together? Number 4. Again, different industry. This company is producing pipes. They have 2 main products. One is kind of industrial, and then one is used on construction sites. The features are always defined when ordering, so they don't have a kind of ready-made these in inventory. The direct material costs are 75 for the industrial and 120 for the construction site models. And now they have here for a bit of information. Amount produced and sold, so they don't have it in the inventory, so they always only produce the amount that has been ordered. Industrial, 10,000 pieces, construction, 50,000 pieces. For the industrial, the direct employee costs are 1 million, and for the constructions, 4.5 million. Amounts processed, 40,000, 160. And then components, 20,000 and 100,000. Then there are product changes, both of them 2,000. They have divided their production into three different activities. They have processing, then they have components, and product changes. Costs for these are 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, and altogether 9 million. Meaning all these activities total cost. Calculate the unit cost for industrial products when the indirect costs are allocated based on activity-based costing. So a bit of repetition from above. Kind of this, but without the pieces and euros, otherwise the same. And then we just calculated here what are the total produced and sold amount, what are the total direct employee cost, and so on. And then we know, kind of repetition from here, what are the costs per different activities. In order to calculate then the direct material cost for each of the types, we are calculating then the produced, and sold amount times here the 75 euros. Same thing for the construction, where it was the 120 given here. Direct employee costs were given already directly. Processing, we knew that the share of industrial is 40,000 out of 200,000, and we knew that this 200,000 costed 2 million. So then the industrial's share of the processing cost is 400,000. Same thing for the constructions, and naturally these together is the same 2 million as per here. Same thing for the components. So their share, and from the so why are we still using the processing and not the components? Let me double check. I think this should be from here. Yeah. So what is the industrial share of the components total, and what is then the components cost? And then I need to correct the same thing here. So these together are then the total cost for the components. Puzzle why I have here here I have the correct. Okay, so then the production changes. It was said here already that the product changes are 2,000 for each of these. So then 2 million plus 2 million is together the 4 million here. And then we have calculated these together. We know the cost for both of the pipes. And by knowing the produced and sold amount, we are able to calculate then the unit cost for both of these. So the main thing is always to calculate what is the share of the cost for that product from the total. Like for example, here we were calculating the processing. First, kind of what is their share, and then from the costs. Kind of, if we put it back to more simple, when we were first calculating here, it's basically the same thing. We were first calculating here what is the finalizing share of the square meters, and then that percentage from the costs. So exactly the same thing, but just then in a more complex surrounding, or a bit more complex. Then number 5, we have a tire factory. We have been using all different kind of industries. Now we are in tires. This factory has 4 different kind of tires, A, B, C, and D. And this is how their monthly report looks like. They have production volume, and then they have direct costs for each of these, and then the totals. Then they also give us the info on machine hours per tire, material transfers, how many times the material is transferred, material orders, controls, assemblies, and maintenance hours. Calculate the unit cost for tire B using activity-based costing when the different activities, cost drivers, have following values. So here we already have been given the cost drivers. So we have the cost here, and then we have the hours here, and now we have the price tags, which I call, or we could say the unit cost here. And then we need to now calculate only the tire B. We have here the machine hours used for the tire B, and then we have here also the price tag, unit price. Same thing for material transfers. We know that 70 times it was transferred. Each of the transfers cost 13.74. Material orders, 21 orders. Each of the orders cost 63.46. Controls, 8 and 124.47. Assemblies, 7 assemblies, and then the price. Maintenance, hours, also we have the hours, we have the hourly price. Then we just calculate that one. Direct costs were given here. And in total, all of those together is 10,407.09 unit cost. That 10,000 divided by the production volume, 600. That wasn't that bad. Or it at least seems easier when it's when it's seen. Any questions from here?
No, not really. No, it's hard. Only third mistake.
Yeah, it's always kind of difficult. Naturally, it's a new thing, completely new thing for you, and then there's dozens of different figures here, and then you are puzzled like how to start. But yeah, just that we always need to make sure that we have the price tag, and then we know, for example, in this case, the hours. And then after that, it's already much more straightforward.
Excuse me, can you show me the exercise 4 again? Sorry.
Sorry, now I wasn't able to follow.
Excuse me, can you show me the exercise 4 again?
Can I read what again?
Yes. Can you show me the exercise 4 again?
Exercise 4 again. Sure. It will also be Moodle, so if you want to see by yourself, is there something, which part of here would you like to go through together? Is there a certain specific part of the answer that you would like us to go through together again? If not, then I think we'll continue with today's topic, pricing. Today we had not only kind of financial perspective, but well, probably you will realize the reason why we have also something else than just finance things when we talk about price here. Before we start talking about theory, when you go to a grocery store and you are buying bread, what are the factors impacting your decision what bread you're going to buy? How are you making decision, for example, when you're buying bread? And let's assume everybody is buying bread. So now I won't say that I'm allergic or I don't eat bread or I don't like bread.
Date, price.
Yes, price.
Okay, anything else?
Quality.
Mm. Anything else? Flavors, size. Not impacting. You just like
Yes.
flavors.
Sometimes it's soft or hot.
Mm. Do you look at the size, for example? Is it like a family package or a smaller package?
Yeah.
Yes, I usually check the price per kilo.
Mm. So I'm actually surprised how that you are saying the price. Yes, it's always one of the factors when we are making decisions when we are buying something, but quite often it's not the only criteria, not the only factor which is impacting on our decision making. It could be, for example, that hey, I'm craving to get that kind of bread, or I have this recipe and I need kind of certain type of a thing, or I know that my kid is loving this one. No matter what, I am buying this one, even though it will be like a 50 cents more expensive than the other one, or something. But usually, when we are buying things, yes, price is impacting, but it's usually not the only factor. How are the prices made? Now, I try to, during this lecture, I'm trying to look at from different perspective, not only that there's a factory and that's producing something, but if we start from that one, we have a company which is producing services or products. When they are thinking about the price, they are thinking how much is the producing costing us? How much are we getting cost just to produce those services or those products? If we think about from society's point of view, or for example, the government, they are thinking how much do we want to tax this consumption? Is this consumption something that we want to encourage or discourage? For example, are we talking about a tobaccos, or are we talking about something more eco-friendly or something? So is it something that the government thinks that, hey, we want to tax this heavily? So for example, something that is discouraged. For example, in several countries, the tobaccos are kind of discouraged with the high taxes. Or is it something that the government wants to encourage? So please use these, for example, services. The more you use them, the better. So we put the taxes really low in this one. Consumer, they are thinking, okay, what kind of features does this service or product have, and what are actually the features that matters to me, and how much am I willing to pay for that kind of features? So for example, if you're buying let's say a phone, do you want the basic model without cameras or something? And how much, for example, are you willing to pay that it will have a camera when you are able to, for example, have different kind of applications there? Or do you want the really, really basic model that you can only answer calls and ring to someone? Then when we talk about the whole market, we have the kind of famous duo, famous pair, supply and demand. how much is the product or service supplied and how many people want it in the market. If, for example, oranges are supplied a lot, much more than demanded, then the seller needs to decrease the price until the oranges are sold. So if there's something way too highly priced, there's not that much market for them. Because people are, like you were saying, that one of the criteria how you're making the decisions is price. So if something has too high price, then those are left unbought. When we look at this from the kind of the company who is producing either service or product or something, when they look at it, they see the direct costs that we have been talking about during this course. We have the raw materials, then we have the people who are working to get the product or service ready, and then it might also take some energy, for example, if we talk about the kind of factory or, well, depending on the production. And then we have the indirect costs, premises, maintenance, admin. This you know because we have been talking about this a lot during the course, and natural depreciations. And let's say based on this, the company is kind of having their target that the profitability would need to always be 43% of the sales price. Like it's already visible there. My question to you is that if the company would price like this, what could go wrong? Or would you do it this way? Any wild guesses? This could be any product or service.
I'm not really understanding the question.
If the company is aiming that they will always get the profitability to be 43%, and they would do pricing based on that one, that they calculate all the costs and then they create, or what would be the correct term? They are kind of pricing the product or service based on just the costs. The only aim is that, hey, we get the profitability to be 43%.
Mm-hmm.
What could go wrong here? And would you do the same thing or would you do something differently?
So they don't have no budgeting, they just only know that they will have 43%?
That's their target. That's kind of their, in a way, budget as well. That they want the profitability of this product to be 43%.
So first of all, what can go wrong? It's they don't get their target. So they have more or don't have money, and they need to have another budgeting plan.
Mm-hmm. Let's say we are still talking about the bread, and then there is a bread that costs €5. And then the €5 is based on that one that the producer has calculated that, yeah, with our volumes, with our cost levels, and our profit target, we cannot sell it below or above €5.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What could happen?
Maybe nobody don't want to buy this product.
Yeah, so if you only do your kind of pricing based on only costs, so you're only kind of focusing on calculating the cost and only focusing on get the kind of profit that is suitable for you. You're only working in a kind of silo, not knowing what are the other products. For example, what kind of other breads? What are the prices for the other breads? What are the things that the consumers are willing to buy? And so on. If you are kind of in a small silo, not looking outside, it might be that it doesn't end up in a good way.
Mhm.
If we look at now this whole pricing from the consumer's point of view, quite often it's good to start the whole thing by looking at what is a reference product. For example, well, we were just talking about bread, but now I take an example of just basic potato chip. That's the kind of the basic need. If the consumer goes to the grocery store and really craving for I want chips, then the basic kind of the reference products are then the other potato chips there. Then there are other things that also impact on consumers' decision making. There might be some features in the product that are positively differentiating from other products. It could be that, for example, one of the consumers wants that the potatoes are biological potatoes. They would prefer to have it in a bio. The question is that what are the positively differentiating features that the consumer is willing to pay more? What are the things that actually add value? So this one is the kind of the blue one is the really basic potato chip. Then what are the things if you want something extra? There could be also some features that are impacting negatively. So, for example, that there's some chips which have a dill flavor, and then this consumer doesn't want that much dill flavor, and then even the dill flavor is actually costing even more, and then the consumer is like, no, I don't want to pay extra to get the flavor that I don't want. If we look at the part that the consumer is willing to pay, then what are the products in the market which are meeting the consumer's needs and is kind of competitive price or having a competitive price? And then the consumer might think that, okay, what I actually want is potato chips, perhaps with the biological potatoes, and then, for example, I want barbecue or sour cream and onion or something. Why do I have here a Finnish title? Sorry, I corrected immediately. Market economist perspective. If we look at this whole thing, now we were first looking at the production company's perspective, then from consumer perspective, and now if we go back to market economy, and we still talk about demand and supply. Here we have a curve, a graph, telling us how the price, which is here the P, is impacting and changes when the demand and supply are changing. Demand is always the amount of commodities, so the products or services, which consumers are willing to buy with the price given. So if there's a lot more demand, then usually that also makes the price go up. For example, if there's a consumer who wants to buy potatoes, there's a kind of batches or let's say packages of 2 kilos where the price per kilo is €1. But it doesn't need 2 kilos, but it only wants 1 kilo and willing to do that with the price per kilo of €2. And actually these type of things are impacting kind of the one consumer's demand curve. How much are they willing to pay for each of the potato kilos? Are they willing to pay the 2 euros per kilo, or how does it go? And actually, it also might be that there are, for example, seasons which are impacting how much is the price per kilo. Naturally, buyers, consumers are very different. Their age might be impacting, their location, their family size, their other personal features, what things they like. And actually, like I was already mentioning, the seasonality, that some of the products availability changes. And this is then impacting on the kind of demand and supply, and then prices as well. Those who think that they really need the the product or service, they are usually more willing to pay. On the other hand, we also have consumers that wouldn't take the, for example, product or service even for free if they absolutely don't have any use for it. So the price is not always the only factor. So also the kind of the need for the product or service is having a big role as well. We have a thing called dynamic pricing, where the price keeps changing depending on the company's capacity, using the kind of price flexibility and then balancing that against the demand. One of the the most usual example is plane tickets. As you know, if you go to a restaurant, you get the menu, you probably get the same prices the next day. For example, if you go for a lunch, and if they have a kind of same lunch menu each day, most probably the prices are the same on Monday and Tuesday. But if you are thinking of buying a plane ticket, there the prices might change depending on are you buying on Monday or Tuesday. For example, the closer the flight would be, the price might be going up or down depending on the capacity from the airplane. But yeah, flight tickets are the most usual where they have this dynamic pricing. So the price keep changing based on the capacity. They do want that all the tickets are sold, and then there might be, for example, cheaper the closer the flight is. And like I said, there might be, they do have a way of kind of using the data on, for example, on the websites. So they, for example, not the most common kind of the peak day. Peak day is that on Tuesdays they have the biggest sales usually on Tuesdays, and therefore they might have, for example, higher prices on Tuesdays. I remember once reading a study that what are those days, weekdays, that it's best to do these flight tickets purchases. Now during this time of pandemic times, this is not the kind of product or service that has been the most successful, but in general, that's kind of usually the example that people are familiar, that those change. For example, the milk doesn't change that much in the grocery store until the date is coming closer, and then it has a discount, at least in some countries. One perspective still on the price. Here we have producers' list price. So they have produced something. Let's say, now I'm still thinking about the bread. So let's say that this is a bread producer. This is a bit more expensive bread, but let's ignore that one. So the list price for the bread is 10 euros. Then when they are selling that to the middle company, they have an annual agreement that they get 20% discount with, for example, certain volumes. And therefore, the discounts given are 2 euros, and then the price that the producer is receiving and the price that the middle company is paying is 8 euros. Then the middle company, let's say this is the grocery store, could be a bakery, could be something else. I just kind of in general call it now middle company. They want also a profit, so they are not selling the bread with the same price as they bought it. They want their profit as well, and then they're adding 5 euros on top of that. Then we get the society, the government, and then we have the VATs. Naturally, these are depending on the country and also what kind of service, what kind of product. Like we were talking about in the beginning, that is something that, for example, the government is encouraging us to consume, or is it discouraging us to consume? In this case, the VAT's amount is 1.8 euros, and then on top of kind of calculating these all together, then the consumer price is 14.8. So small difference, small. I mean, there is a difference between the one that the producer is actually getting, and actually they have also some production costs and probably raw material costs as well. Like I said a bit earlier, today we are not only looking at from finance perspective, because if we think about pricing only from kind of the cost point of view and the kind of profitability point of view, we might, how would I say, be out of the market. Depending on now the kind of the whole thing, how we position our products in the market. There are different kind of positions in the market. We have the cheapest, for example, potato chips in the market. Those are those kind of private labels, those not branded or no brand products. Then there are basic products, which already are, for example, from certain brand, but they are the kind of the basic potato chip from Lay's or something. Then there are kind of better than the basic product, could be kind of a bit, for example, with the flavor or something from the kind of branded basic brand with the certain specific flavor. Then we get we also continue to the premium products, for example, having the biological potatoes there, and then we have super premium where there's something very, very, very special. And when you are trying to price your product, try to search for the right reference group first. Which of these, for example, does it belong to? And this can be whatever. Are you talking about a massage, or are you talking about mobile phones or whatever? So it doesn't only go for the grocery things, but no matter what kind of service or something. Is it a basic service? Is it something super premium? Or are you kind of aiming to be really cheap? But anyway, first you need to understand what is the reference group. Where are also the consumers, the end buyers? Where are they then comparing, and then trying to find the price point in that reference group. The price point is chosen so that the estimated consumer price correlates to the consumer's experience, how much they are getting the added value in relation to the other products within the same reference group. So do the end users or the end buyers think that, hey, this is kind of within this reference group, within these, for example, premium products, this is, how would I say, this price for this product is reasonable. and not that it's, for example, a case that, hey, wait a second, this is like with these similar features, there are products which are, for example, half the price or something. Because this is how the consumers are doing their decisions. They are looking at within the reference group with these features, where is the best price within kind of with these features. Sometimes, or actually quite usually, the companies, if for example they are aiming to, that they think that their product belongs to this better basic product, then they are looking at the reference group, their prices, then they might go kind of having the same features as the other better basic products, but then they aim the price point to be a bit lower than the competitors, just to get the kind of big volumes. If you are really certain that your brand is adding so much value and your price flexibility is so small, you are able to naturally price the product so that it's, for example, the highest within the same reference group. If you are really certain that, for example, the consumers are willing to pay a bit extra just to get that brand. Pricing also differs in different situations. There are situations where there's, for short term, there's a low price. Usually the aim is that there's need to increase the volume. For example, that the capacity is very low, or there's extra capacity and we need to get that utilized, otherwise we have extra costs from there. Or we have a new thing and we are building the whole recognizability. Could be that we make a multi-buy package. If you buy this, you get this with a half a price or something. Aim of these is always to increase the volume. That's the main reason to have these multi-buy packages and then having a lower price there. If there's a linked offer, I actually said wrong. Multi-buy, that there's a ready-made package. Linked offer is the way that if you buy this, then you get this one, for example, 20% discount on this one. Then that is in situations where you're using the, for example, the old product to get more visibility and recognizability for new products. That, hey, this is our kind of old and familiar product, but now you get from the our newest launch, newest product, you get, for example, 20% discount. So the difference between the multi-buys that they're already a package, and then the linked offer is that buying this, you get, for example, a discount from something else. Pricing according to season, slightly already talked about it. For example, with fruit, this is probably everybody knows this, that sometimes, for example, strawberries are much more expensive than in other seasons during the year. Naturally, the price is cheaper during those times that there's more capacity and more availability of the products. Naturally, also applies to not only fruit, but for example, the plane tickets. The more capacity there is, extra capacity, the cheaper the price is. For example, now that the whole tourism has been in bit of now it's starting to get back. But for example, during the pandemic, there was a lot of hotels who were giving big discounts due to the fact that they didn't have business travelers. Then there might be also a situation where the price is low for a longer period, not only for a weekend or week. The companies are doing this in order to decrease the price point compared to the competitors. Then the reason why they might be doing this is that they are increasing the volumes and the market share, or building the recognizability. Either way. When the company is having a new service, new product, and thinking about how to price it, naturally they cannot look at it, okay, they don't know the exact, okay, if we price it this and this way, what would our volume be? And therefore, you cannot calculate, for example, the costs and the targets, because you don't know the exact volume that you will have. You don't know the raw material consumption. And then and also you don't know how the consumers will react to it, especially if it's something that there's no, how would I say, it's something new in the market. The most usual start is that you are thinking about what is the market that this product or service has been developed. How is that market? What's the kind of the price level in that market? What are the other products that are already in the market? And what are the features that the consumers are willing to pay? And then naturally compare to your own product or service. Are these the things that the consumers are willing to pay? Naturally, you need to think, what are the costs? If you already know, or you have a lot of calculations that say, like, no matter what kind of volumes we get, it would at least cost this amount of, for example, the raw materials already by the kind of itself are costing this much. You naturally need to take that into account when pricing it. So what kind of profitability is it possible to get with this kind of a product or service? It's always kind of combining the whole commercial and marketing thinking into the production's thinking and perspective. For example, the differentiating features. Does it have something that the consumer is not ready to pay? Is there some of those negatively differentiating features? What if we would take those away? What would it do to the profitability? Is it something that would increase or decrease the profitability? Is it actually that we have those features there? Is it kind of cheaper for us? But yeah, how is it? And is it something that can be taken away? Are there features which, by adding those, the price can be increased even more than the kind of the production cost would be? That meaning that if we would, for example, add some features that cost us €5, are we able to increase our price by €10? Or is it so that if we add some kind of features which are costing us €5, then would it only add, for example, €4 or €5 for the price? Positioning. Again, what is the price point that we were thinking? Is it the correct one? And is it correlating within the same reference group correctly? Sometimes we might think that, hey, we are in this reference group or this kind of positioning. But then after a while, we might think that, hey, we actually belong to one step further or one step below. And yes, profitability. What kind of profitability are we able to get with this product? That kind of needs to be the background thinking there all the time, even if we think it from the consumer's point of view. What kind of volume is it possible? Is it small volume? Are we able to get big volumes? What is the impact of cannibalization? By the way, do you know what is cannibalization? Maybe I actually add one slide of that one. Cannibalization is a term that we are using if the company is launching a product, and how would I say, when that product's volume is increasing, it's impacting on the same company's other product in a negative way. So it's kind of, the term is coming from the fact that it's eating the other products' volume. For example, it might be that in car company is having a very similar new model, has a different name, but for example, it's a newer model. And when they launch the new model, the volumes of the old model starts to decrease. And naturally, thinking about the whole pricing and volume of the whole company, you need to understand that launching this one is actually decreasing the volumes here. We won't get the same profits from the old one anymore. And naturally, then the whole decision to launch is then the kind of the next step. It should be actually as a separate step. After the whole product is launched and we already started to get the marketing data, we already get the kind of sales figures, we can already calculate, okay, with these volumes that we're actually getting, what is the profitability that we are getting with this one? Then you might do some corrective actions with the pricing, with the whatever packaging. You might think, okay, maybe this is too expensive packaging for these volumes or in this reference group. And for example, here you might think that you need to change the reference group. Naturally, every product has a life cycle, and then the pricing also goes together with the life cycle. So for example, especially with technology, with new cars, new phones, the price is in the beginning, it's in its highest, and then it starts to go down, especially when there are new models coming. But also not only technology, but also other for example, clothes. There might be things that are going out of fashion, and here's also the life cycle is then impacting on the price. That's it for the kind of pricing theory. I will add the cannibalization slide there, just that you know a bit more of that one. The exam will open today. I thought that would be good that first of all you have this lecture first, and probably you need a break before, not kind of directly after the lecture. So I scheduled so that the exam will open today at 5 and will be open until end of Wednesday. So 5 to midnight. 5 to midnight. You can try it once, so there's only one attempt per person. You will have different questions than your fellow students. If you are doing it at the same time with a friend, I'm seeing it from the Moodle, so don't try that one. And no need to take pictures for your friends, because most likely you are having different questions than your friend. What else? Material will be open during the exam. So no need to take back your laptop. There will be different kind of questions in the exam. I always have the part that there's multiple choice questions. Only one of those alternative or the options are right ones. There are questions where the answer is short, meaning 1 or 2 words. You will have also calculations. Some are short, and then there are, I don't remember, is it 2? Perhaps there's 2 a bit longer calculations where you're only saying kind of the end result of the calculation. And then there are open answers with, for example, where the answer is 1 or 2 chapters. Not essays, but 1 or 2 chapters, depending on how much you have things to share. Any questions about course topics, course, exam?
I have a question concerning exam. Is it a free move exam? So I mean, can we, like, for example, if I don't know the answer to the first question, can I move like further and then?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can. I'm actually aiming that all of the questions are on the same page, so you are able to go up and down on the same page.
Okay, thank you.
So you can go back to the question that you didn't want to answer at that certain time. Was there a question from Petra?
I had the same question.
Okay. I'm aiming that credits and grades will be by end of the week. What else? And actually, if there are any questions about the grades or the assignments or the whole course or something, send me an email. Send me an email about it if any questions. Anything else?
Excuse me, may I ask, the grade of the course depends on just the exam or whole, the 5 exercise?
Exercises as well. So it is 50-50.
Yes, thank you so much.
And if you are going to the retake exam, for example, if you wouldn't pass the course, or you would like to increase the grade, in the retake exam, the grade is coming only from the exam, and then the exercises are not in a way helping you anymore. And naturally, there will be retake exams as well. Unfortunately, I don't know about those at the moment. I'm actually changing employer by the end of the year, so the retakes next year will be organized by somebody else. Any other questions? So also, if you have a question about the course grade, then try to ask it soon, because then I won't be able to answer the questions then later, or at least I won't be reading the emails. If nothing else, if everything else is clear, then enjoy the week. Good luck with the exam, and I'll inform you when the grades and credits are back. Good.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice.
Thank you.